I have a fantasy. I've had it for some time. I always wanted to give a talk wearing a onesie. Now, my fantasy was to wear the one that Elvis wore in Vegas in the 70s. You know, the white one. It's all bedazzled. But wasn't able to do that because your advisors excel. I figured I'd wear green and we'd get this out of the way just starting off. I have a few things to share with you today. I'll need my clicker for that. But before I even get there, I just kind of want to do a survey of the room. How many of you think that the subject of ethics is important? You think it's important? Oh, okay. Okay, that's the right thing to say. How many of you think the subject of ethics is important to advisors excel? Good, good. For those that didn't raise their hands, please get their name down so we can figure out who that was. Now, how many of you think that I can actually teach you ethics within an hour? One person has faith in me. Just one. Just one. In the back. Raise your hand. One has faith in me. He's incorrect. He's incorrect. I can't teach you ethics in an hour. Can't be done. As a matter of fact, you don't learn ethics from a workshop or some presentation or coming out to a class or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I'm not even here to really teach you ethics. If you thought that you were coming for that, you came to the wrong place. You probably want to go back out to the cafeteria and enjoy your lunch. I'm not here for that. What I'm here to do, though, is to get you thinking. And if I can get you thinking about your decision-making process, then just maybe, when you're pressed with an ethical dilemma, when you're challenged, you'll start thinking about what we talked about today. Maybe some of this will come to mind. I know several of you already. You say, just another training. It's not just another training. I usually start by asking people, what's the most important resource on the planet? What do you think that is? What's your name? Megan, what do you think the most important resource on the planet is? Put you on the spot. Air? She says air. Any takers for air? No? Some? What do we think? Give me some ideas. What's that? Time. What's your name? Preston, A+. You can leave. You're good. You're good. Time's the most important resource that you have. And because I don't have a lot of time, I need your attention for this. I really do. I need your attention for this. Time. It's all about time. It's all about time. So let's stay focused. I want to start with a brief story. Once upon a time, not very long ago, 3 men were sitting at a kitchen table. I think you know where I'm going with this, huh? They were sitting at a kitchen table and they were discussing a rocket launch, of all things. They were discussing their company as well. They were discussing where they wanted to go. Great heights, great new heights, and ventures well beyond that kitchen table. They were discussing some of the challenges that were going to come their way. They were discussing some of the things that they would face. They were happy. They were enthused. They were also probably thinking about some of the ethical challenges, but maybe not so much. Any idea who those 3 men were? Oh, you probably think that I'm talking about someone named David or Cody or Derek, right? Isn't there a kitchen table around here somewhere that is a focus of attention? I'm not. I want to introduce you to Fred, James, and John. Oh, yes. They were also sitting at a kitchen table. They were discussing a rocket launch. And no one really cared at that point because it was not a big deal, but it became a big deal. Based on a certain set of circumstances, it became a big deal. Now, you may not have heard of them, but you've certainly heard of Apollo 13. Raise your hand if you've heard of Apollo 13. Good. Okay. I don't have to do a whole lot of teaching there then. April 11th, 1970, Apollo 13 launches, 1:13 p.m. CST. No one cares. No one cares. Why? Because we had been to the moon before. We'd already been there, so no one really cares. As a matter of fact, it got terrible ratings. They did a live broadcast. Hopefully this gets pretty good ratings. I don't know. But they did a live broadcast. Terrible ratings. No one was paying attention at all. We had already accomplished Kennedy's statement to put a man on the moon in this decade, not because it's easy, but because it's hard, right? We'd already accomplished that. We'd taken care of that. So by this time, the public was kind of bored with it. They're kind of bored. They really didn't care. But they began to care. 55 hours, 54 minutes into the mission, Jim Lovell, commander, here's a bang. Oh boy. There's a bang. Okay. That's usually not good, by the way. It's usually not good, especially in space when you're 200,000 miles above the earth. It's not a good thing. They hear a bang, though. So they were broadcasting this just before that bang. And his previous comments was that, our crew they're fat, dumb, and happy. We're doing all right, Houston. But that quickly turned into the phrase that all of you have heard. Houston, we have a problem, Houston. She's seen the movie directed by Ron Howard, Opie Taylor. Awesome. She's seen the movie. Yes, they had a problem. Now here's the interesting thing, and this is how it concerns your life, because some of you right now, I can feel you thinking, what does this have to do with ethics? What does it have to do with ethics? Well, what they never discuss, the movie really doesn't even get into it. If you read the book, it gets into it a little bit in detail. But what they never really talk about is what that bang was all about and how that came about. Oh, and how it affects your life today and what I'm really here to talk about today. Well, it's amazing. Apollo 13 had a problem because of 2 inches. What did he just say? 2 inches. 2 inches. 2 inches. 2 inches. 2 inches. 2 inches. That was the problem. That was the problem. As they were installing oxygen tank number 2 on Apollo 13, it was accidentally dropped by 2 inches. Just 2 inches. Poquito. Just 2 inches. That damaged the inside of the tank. So, as they're fat, dumb, and happy going about on their rocket launch, and the damage is there, and they go to stir the oxygen tanks, there's an exposed fan wire, leads to an explosion, which leads to everything you see on the screen. Now we're struggling to keep oxygen. Now we're struggling to keep water all of a sudden. Now all of a sudden there's carbon dioxide buildup. Now all of a sudden we don't care so much about the moon. We care about getting home. 2 inches caused that to happen. 2 inches. That's it. That minute. How does that apply to my life? I mean, I really don't understand. Thank you for the story. Well, there's a lesson. There will be a lesson in everything I share today, by the way. Small ethical choices made on a daily basis, because you'll make them every day, have a big impact on both the individual and the organization. Small ethical choices made on a daily basis have a big impact on both the individual and the organization. If 2 inches can cripple Apollo 13, imagine what a poor ethical choice can do to a company. Imagine what one bad decision can do to a company. Imagine that. If just 2 inches can cripple an entire program. Imagine that. Oh, it does matter. It does matter. So, I gotta get started today. Some of you, maybe you've heard of me before. If you're not taking notes on your phone, then please put the phones down. I know that Barry Obama will call you at any moment, and you'll have to leave out of here. I know that some of you, you're going to have to get a beep or a page, and you'll have to go do open heart surgery, but I really do need your attention. I do. Need your attention for this short time frame, because you've just entered into a new space. You see, I don't waste time. If I come to your company, it's for a reason. And it's to spend some time with you so that later on, when you're on your rocket launch, you'll do just fine, right? Now, here's your face. I already knew that. Most faces, I get this face every single time. Who's he talking to me? I'm very important. I drive a Tesla. Come on now. I'm talking to you, okay? I'm talking to you. I am talking to you. Do need your attention. Do need your attention. Just work with me. We'll have some fun. I promise. We'll have some fun. Work with me. Let's keep going. All right. How do you launch a rocket? When I thought about your company, I really did think that way. And I said, you know what? It really starts with 3 men, a kitchen table, and there's one more ingredient. Well, that's all of you. All of you. That's every person that works at this company, with the exception of new hires. Raise your hand if you're a new hire. Just got hired. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, welcome new hires. You're not on the list, but you will be shortly. Now, the bigger the name, the more people you have at this company with that name. So you hired a lot of Jessicas for some reason. You have a lot of Ashleys here. There are a bunch of Sarahs. Don't hire any more of those people. You need to hire more Jennas and a Justin and a Bree and a Mara. You need to hire more people like that. It's not just 3 guys who launch a rocket. It's not. It's you. It's you. You count. You matter. You do. So it's not just 3 people who do that. You also count. By show of hands, how many of you feel like this in the morning? I mean, you wake up and excellence is just flowing. How many of you feel that way? No one feels that way? Couple people feel that way? You should feel that way. You work for a great company. You should feel that way. I can tell you right now, not everybody works for a great company. Not everybody works for a place like this. And the first time I set foot in this building, I knew it was a great place. And I won't just say that. If it's terrible, I will tell you. I will tell you. I showed up on Pizza Fridays. I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is just incredible, serving things around here. You work for a great company. You do. You should be proud of that. And you really should wake up like that. Whether you are a Wonder Woman or Batman or Superman, I don't know what you do in your own time, but you should feel that way. So let me go ahead and put you at ease because I saw the faces and I already felt it. Because when people say ethics, ethics, he's talking about ethics. No. I am not here to harm you. I'm not here to give you a lesson in morality. I have no conversation for you there. I'm really not here for any of that. I'm here to help keep you in flight and to help you reach your destination. To help you reach your destination. That's what I'm trying to do today. Not trying to harm you at all. But I spend a lot of time with different companies. I'm up in the air a lot. I saw things in the Air Force I'm going to convey to you today. I saw things as a police officer I'm going to convey to you today that could impact your life. So I'm not here to harm you. Just keep that in mind. I'm here to keep you in flight. I am here to keep you in flight. So in order to do that, I need to talk about the 4 forces of flight. Oh, it's applicable. The 4 forces of flight. I don't even care about aviation. It applies. It applies. It applies. Weight, lift, thrust, drag. Weight, lift, thrust, drag. Yes, don't worry. I outline all those in your packet. Weight, lift, thrust, and drag. Very simple because most of you, I'm sure, have taken a science course at some point in time. Weight's pretty easy to identify, right? It brings you back to earth. What's your name, ma'am? Courtney, have you ever tried to jump up in the air? What happened? Did you come back down? Oh, well, that explains weight. I don't need to spend any time there, right? Gravity, it will bring you back down to earth every single time. Lift is a little bit different. It's a little bit different. It'll take you up. It's the force created by air pressure that pushes you actually up. Thrust is also different. You need thrust to be propelled in a certain direction. What's your name? Kristen, can you push me? Push my back. That was thrust. And that's assault. Don't ever do that again. Okay? Don't ever do that again. But that's thrust. Thrust propels you in a certain direction. When you guys launched as a company, you needed that. You needed that. Oh, but then there's drag. Drag. Any Eeyores in the house? Drag. Oh, that's just terrible. Terrible, right? Then there's drag. It acts against motion, right? It's a consequence of friction, rubbing together. This is applicable. I don't care if you're flying a washing machine, which if you can do that, let me know. That's pretty incredible. Or you're launching a rocket, you're on an airplane, it doesn't matter. All of these forces always apply. I said they always apply. Well, okay, what's the big deal? Well, they also apply to business. Business. You work for a company. They also apply to business. Oh, yes, they do. So weight is your competition. If you have competition, say yes. If you have competition, say yes. Okay, you do have competition. I want to recognize that. You're not the only cowboy out there, right? No. You're not the only one. You do have competition. That creates weight. Creates weight. Certainly does. You have people called naysayers. Advisors excel will never. Naysayers. You ask your founders. I guarantee you they ran into some naysayers at some point along the line. Hopefully none of you. Hopefully none of you, right? You have market forces constantly shifting. Constantly shifting. Why it's imperative for leaders to be on the cutting edge of everything, including you, is because market forces shift. You have to constantly be learning something. Oh, yes, you do. Because it creates weight. Oh, and then there's that thing called doubt. Doubt. Doubt is dangerous to a company. It's dangerous. I understand it because we tend to doubt when there's the unknown. But it's dangerous to a company. It creates weight, excessive weight. How do you counterbalance that? Well, you do it through teamwork. That's called lift. It's called lift. If I ask Courtney to just pick me up right now, maybe give me a piggyback ride, I'm going to do that later. She might be able to do that, but it'd be much easier if I chose these 4 burly men right here with beards. If I chose them to pick me up, it'd be easier. See, that's called teamwork. That's lift. You get lift through teamwork and collaboration, working together, not separately, working together. Oh, that creates a lift. Positive attitude. Worth its weight in gold. Positive attitude. Negative people, get away from me. Positive attitude. It is a must to have, which is why I always focus on the individual. Always focus on the individual. That positive attitude. You control one thing. There's a lot of things you control, but specifically one thing. Positive attitude. That creates lift. Deflation of the ego. I don't care if you drive a Mercedes and you were just sipping mimosa with Kanye West in the Swiss Alps. I don't care. I don't care about tags and titles. Any of those things. I don't. Ever don't? I don't. I'm David. That's why. Yeah, don't care about it. Because if you deflate the ego, companies naturally lift. Some of your best CEOs, best leaders are folks that are just so average, so normal, so normal. Thrust. I don't need to teach you about that because you obviously have it. Your founders have it. You have it. You continue to progress. You have thrust. What is that? That energy. Wow. That drive, right? That hustle, that motivation. You got to have it. You got to have it. That will always push you forward. It's not enough, but it will always push you forward. Always, always, always. And then, of course, we have to deal with drag. Pessimism. It exists. Pessimism. That's thinking wrong in a right place. You can be in a beautiful place like this, doing great things and thinking wrong. Dangerous to a company. Oh, yes. Also, compromise of values. I didn't say that you don't have values. I said compromise of values. Dangerous, dangerous. Character flaws. You're all flawed, all of us. We're all flawed. But when you allow those character flaws to carry over into your work life especially, it can be dangerous to a company. And then there's ethical dilemmas, which is what I really want to discuss today. Ethical dilemmas. Oh, those things that are going to come your way. Ethical dilemmas. So today's focus will be on this whole thing called drag. Drag is it's something you got to get rid of. It's here. Now you can't get rid of it thoroughly and all the way, but you can reduce it, which we'll discuss. But drag, it really tends to drain energy. I mean, it just zaps energy. It reduces your lift. It does. And eventually it can lead to a crash landing. A crash landing. You know how many companies, how many people started out looking like a healthy rocket, nice plane, and then they end up looking like that because of drag. Drag will always bring you down. Will always bring you down. Such as, we want to be proud of our company and to know that it enjoys a reputation for fairness and honesty and that it is respected. Gaining such respect is one aim of advertising and public relations activities, but no matter how effective they may be, our company's reputation finally depends on its people, on you and me. Let's keep the reputation high. Man, that's fantastic. When I read that sometimes, I'm like, man, this is just a powerful statement. That's from a code of ethics, by the way. It is a powerful, powerful statement. The only problem is it's from a company that, I don't know. Maybe you've heard of that company. Enron. It's from Enron. So let me go back. That's from Enron's code of ethics. I actually purchased a copy on eBay. They're selling them. It's 64 pages, believe it or not. Now that sounds nice. It sounds great that they have that. That's wonderful. But guess what? It's just paper. It's just paper. It's just paper. Most companies have a code of ethics. They have something that they follow. But here's the problem. Same thing with Enron. If it's just paper and it's not a part of you, then it can't do anything for you. You have to make the paper, the words on the paper, actually become flesh. Oh, then it becomes a part of you. We learn that a lot in the military. You don't just have core values. Core values are beaten into you, literally. They're beaten into you, right? You get those in you. Now it becomes a part of you. What are mine? Excellence, integrity, service for self. Excellence, integrity, service for self. Pretty simple. Enron had the right things, but their values were wrong. So, it's amazing. Respect, integrity, communication, excellence. Did they follow their values? Very easy test. No, they did not. They did not.
Did you convert stock worth $66 million?
I don't know.
Kenneth Lay, Jeffrey Skilling, the folks who were behind the scenes did not. Now, what's amazing, though, is they had incredible thrust and drive and hustle and motivation. So from 1998 to 2098, they were around $31 billion in revenue. $31 billion. That sounds impressive. By 2000, they were at over $100 billion in gross revenues. Wow. But there's a problem. They didn't get there the right way. They didn't follow their actual values. And because of that, and they compromised that, well, you know the rest. It's history. Some people committed suicide. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people went to jail just because of that. It doesn't do you any good. Even this lovely packet handout that Beth put together doesn't do you any good. It's just words. It has to be a part of you. Everything I discussed today, your own code of ethics as advisors here at Excel, right? It has to be a part of you. Keep that in mind. So I only have one message for you, and I need you to work with me on this. How you get there is just as important as getting there. How you get there is just as important as getting there. Say it with me. How you get there is just as important as getting there. How you get there is just as important as getting there. See, you're not interested in the how, but you should be. You should be. That's the only message I ever have, ever. Doesn't matter if I'm teaching a history class, an ethics class, doesn't matter. If I'm talking to a company, does not matter. It does not matter. That's the only message I ever have. Why is he so strict and why is he all about that message? The how matters. You have a destination. Your founders have set that destination. Eventually, you will get there. You keep excelling. You keep going higher. But guess what? Even in your own personal lives, how you get there matters. Because if you get there the right way, nobody can take it from you. You see, Enron would still be in business if they got there the right way. A lot of companies today would still be in business. Bernie Madoff might have a job still. Jack Abramoff might have a job still instead of prison. Jared from Subway might have a job still. I don't know. Eat fresh, right? Eat fresh. But how you get there. How you get there. So many athletes fit that category. So many. Gold medals, breaking records, but they got there the wrong way. That's what I care about. I care about the how. That's what I like to define as the road to character. Oh, it matters. Because if you get there the right way, no one can take it from you. You get to keep it. You get to keep it. No one can take it from you. That's the only message. I promise you, if that's all you get today, I'm satisfied. How you get there. You're going somewhere as a company. You have been for some time. You're going to continue to do it. But keep in mind, the how matters. How you actually end up at that destination matters. Get there the right way. Well, how do you do that? The road to character. Small ethical choices made on a daily basis. Those things actually matter. Work with me, okay? Now, everyone that I talk to, they have different definitions of ethics. They really don't know how to define it. A lot of times they struggle with it, right? So it can mean to conform to moral standards. Moral standards are set by society, by the way. You can leave everything else out of that. Society will set that for you. It can mean that. It means you conform to that. It means to conform to professional standards of conduct. So you have your own professional standards here at Advisors Excel. You carry yourself in a certain way when you deal with producers. When you handle certain things and provide services, you carry yourself that way. You have your own standard of conduct. But right here, you see, reflecting on it. That's what you're doing right now. You're actually reflecting on moral standards and decision-making processes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, this is free of charge. I need some help right now. Kimberly, I'm going to need your help. Will you help me? Will you stand up, please? Okay. Kimberly's going to help me. Feel selected anymore. She's going to help me. I just need you to stand out here. Are you wearing high heels? They're not too high. Okay, that's probably not going to work. I need someone without high heels. You, sir. What's your name? Ethan. Ethan Hawk?
Close. Bro.
Close. Okay. Pretty close. Ethan, I need you to help me. I need your chair, please. Use an example here. Now, this is extra. I won't charge you for this. It's pretty extra. Standards. It's all about standards. Life is about standards as well. How do you define a standard? Whether you're talking about ethics, you're talking about physical fitness, you're talking about finances, doesn't matter. It's all the same because a standard is just like this chair. It's a step. It's a step. Ethan, I need you to help me out. Can you stand on this chair for me without falling? And feel free to use me if you need to. Oh, very good. Very good. How's the view up there? Oh, pretty nice view, huh? Yeah. Would you mind stepping back down? What's your name? Trisha. Do you think it was harder for Ethan to step up or to step down? Step down, you think it was harder? Who thinks it was harder for him to step up? You would be correct. It was much harder to step up. That's okay. It's not a trick question. It was much harder for you to step up. Why becomes the question. Why do you think it was harder for you to step up? Your weight, your gravity, you were fighting certain things? Oh, that's a very good analysis. Have a seat for me. Let me walk this thing out. A standard is a step. It's always hard to step up and to raise your standards. I'm telling you right now, you have high standards as a company, continue to raise them. Don't lower them. It's easy to lower them, just like it's easy to step down. Oh, but it's hard to step up. It's very hard to step up. Keep your standards high. That's what ethics is all about. Keep your standards high. All the time. Now I could go into the personal development phase. It's very easy to say, I don't want to eat nutritious today. McDonald's is calling. It's very easy to say, I should say, but I need to spend at this point. It's very easy to say, I should do something, but Netflix, it counts down and it's challenging me to watch the next episode. So you do it. Right? Just keep your standards high. It's hard, I know. And people will try to get you to lower your standards, even in ethics. Don't do it. Keep them high. A standard is just a step. Take that with you. Now, our standards are the things that we have also developed in life. We've developed those. Everybody has their own rules. They have their own standards. Ethics governs our conduct. That's why it's so important, which is why I'm here today, wearing a onesie, because it's that important. It really is that important. Oh, yes, it is. See, ethics governs you. I ask students all the time, what's governing you? What restricts you? Ethics should. Not a bad way. Not a bad way. But it lets you know my standard's here. I will not lower that standard. I'm governed at this standard. This is what I will keep. Please do that for Advisors Excel. Why study ethics? Well, number one is right there. Your actions will always, I say sometimes, but in truth, they'll always affect other people. They always affect other people. It's never just about you. No. Your actions affect other people. Bad ethical decisions in Iran affect other people. They affect other people. So because of that, you should be studying ethics in some capacity. Doesn't mean you take a class on it. It means you reflect on it, right? You have to be aware and open to ethical issues. You do. You also want to develop what we call critical thinking skills. Colleges and universities are continually being counted down for their critical thinking skills. Students are not thinking. I hope you're thinking. I hope you do. That's what ethics is all about. Taking personal responsibility. As a leader, it's always your fault. What did he just say? As a leader, it's always your fault. Personal responsibility. You make the decision. You take responsibility for it. Ethics does that. But here's my favorite. Developing this thing we call whole sight. You got to make decisions with your heart and your mind. Oh, yes. The two are connected. Your heart and your mind. Not just one without the other. That helps you when you're studying ethics because, again, you realize that your decisions are not just about you. They never are. They're about other people. I know you think that you are in the financial business, the insurance business, the annuity business, whatever you want to call it. You're in the people business. You're in the people business. Every day you work with people. You interact with people. A producer is a person, right? Or they're a robot. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure they're a person. You're in the people business. Keep that in mind. Now, I want to deal with the flight path. What you're going to encounter on your ethical journey. You're going to encounter a few things. Number one, the founder of the Global Institute of Ethics, right? So Rushworth Kidder is the guy. He really is the guy. One of the things that he discussed was that, our whole philosophy for decision making really comes down to our core values, our morals, our integrity, but it falls into these two categories, moral temptations and ethical dilemmas. Both of those. You're going to face those on your flight path. You guys have launched, you're going to face them. You've already faced them whether you know it or not, but you're going to continue to face them. Falls into two categories. You will encounter both as you go throughout this. Right versus wrong decisions. He says that's a moral temptation, which it is. But see, that's easy. It's very easy. A moral temptation is kind of easy. Kind of easy. What do I mean by that? It's right versus wrong. From the time that you were born until present day, you've heard somewhere about what's right, about what's wrong. You are not what John Locke called tabula rasa, a blank slate. You're not. You're full now. You understand the difference between right and wrong. We still have to face that, but the decision's pretty easy. Let me give you an example. Violation of the law. How many of you know that fraud is illegal? You should not do that. Some people don't know fraud is illegal. That's okay. That's okay. See, they're treating this still as a lecture. They didn't realize that it impacts their lives. It really does. It impacts each and every one of you. Violation of law. Don't break the law. It's that simple, right? It's that simple. Seen the movie Liar, Liar? What did Jim Carrey say when he said, Skidbone has broken the law again and he wants to know what your legal advice is.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
Right? Stop breaking the law. Violation of the law. Very easy. You know that. You know that. It's a moral temptation. Telling the truth. Instead of cruising down Truth Street, you made the left on Liar's Lane. Tell the truth. Honestly. It's very easy. It's very easy. That doesn't mean that people do it all the time, but it is easy. You know the difference between the two. Oh, deviation from moral rectitude. It's getting away from the things, the morals that society has set. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? I'm here to tell you that is not true at all. Ethical dilemmas, though, they're different from moral temptations. They're different. It's when you're facing a situation that's actually right versus right. Oh boy, that's tough. It's right versus right. It will pull you in one direction or the other because it's right versus right. That's the tough choices. That's the tough choices. The moral temptation, you guys can handle that. But the tough choice there, the ethical dilemma, that's the tough choice. Let me give you some examples, and I want you to give me a couple of examples. Maybe your own personal life, but really what applies to you today. Start the thinking cap. Let's say you had to protect wildlife, but let's say you also wanted to drill for natural resources. Both are correct. They're both right. You have to choose them. Oh, tough decision. We still face that right now as a nation. Tough decision. Let's say you wanted to punish a bad choice. New employee here. I hope you don't, but let's just say that you mess up. Make a bad decision. You throw the book at him, or do you give him another shot? Give him another chance. Both would be correct. One is more right than the other. That's an ethical dilemma. Let's say you go to Las Vegas. Yeah! Or you invest in that growth stock mutual fund you've been putting on. What do you do? Both are correct. Both are correct. And definitely Vegas is an ethical dilemma. Trust me. Extending social services to everyone or only the most deprived. Both are correct. Both are correct. What would be some examples of right versus right, maybe for your lives, maybe for your life here at Advisors Excel? Can anyone give me an example? If not, I'll call you out directly. Give me some examples. Right versus right. Two decisions that are right, but you have to choose between the two. It's a dilemma. What do you think? No right versus right here at Advisors Excel? There you go. Paying attention or keeping up with email. There you go. Very easy. See how difficult it is? And even now, a bit of fear. A bit of fear in the room. No confidence to speak up. You're leaders, people. You're not in this room if you're not. You're leaders. All of you are. Don't be afraid to speak up. See, that's my point, though. So if you can't handle it in a situation like this, how do you handle it when you're really presented with it? When you're under fire, so to speak. Yeah. That's why you have to have that road to character, so instantly you can respond. Doesn't mean you're always going to respond the right way, but instantly you can respond. Oh, let me cheer you up. I'll tell you what I chose in my dilemma recently. I chose Vegas. Yes, that's me. I was going to take his onesie and wear it today, but I did not. My shirt says funner, gooder than just fun. So it's quite all right. It's quite all right. Sorry, Growth Stock Mutual Fund. I had to put that off. Okay, so Kidder has these paradigms for understanding ethical dilemmas when you're faced with it. One is called truth versus loyalty. Truth versus loyalty. Interesting paradigm. Are you going to be truthful in a particular situation you're called into the office, or are you going to remain loyal? Individual versus community. Are you going to focus on the individual, whatever that situation is, or are you going to look at the community at large when you're faced with that? You'll be faced with that at some point. You will be. Short-term versus long-term. That's what we have a problem with. Cupcake now, apple. Cupcake now, apple. How do I decide between the two? Now, you use your own dilemma for that. Short-term. Do I look at the short-term, or do I look at the long-term consequences of my actions? You got to decide. You got to be thinking. Oh, and this justice versus mercy piece. Am I going to show justice? That is, I'm dropping the hammer. Or will I show mercy? That's a true ethical dilemma. It really is. And how you decide will ultimately affect someone's life. Keep that in mind. Vulnerability. I address it in detail in your packet, so I won't go into a whole lot of detail here, but let me explain this. Vulnerability is a bridge. It's a bridge. Trust holds up the foundation of that. So keep in mind that people are making themselves vulnerable to you. You're providing a service. So someone has to open themselves up and accept your service. You are making yourself vulnerable also. But when they do that, particularly in the area of finances, you got to be careful. Don't take advantage of that. Don't take advantage of that, because you have an opportunity right there to do something really good. To do something really good. People are making themselves vulnerable all the time. Because at the end of the day, are we talking about retirement accounts? We're talking about finances? You better believe it. Don't take advantage of people for personal gain. It will never pay off to you. I'm going to prove it here in just a second. Also, empathy. You see, we're lacking that. Here's a quick definition for you. Quick definition. Put the shoes on. That's the definition of empathy. Put the shoes on. You're working with people. You're in the people business. Put on that person's shoes that you're impacting, that you're connecting with. How do they feel? Walk in their shoes for a moment. We're lacking empathy as a culture because we live in the age of selfie. Yes, we do. Be careful of that, particularly in the area of business. I'm telling you, you're working with people. Keep empathy in mind. You should care about that person. Don't see them as a dollar sign, another gain, another checkbox. No. Empathy. I can tell you that. Maintaining altitude. New pilots. The most difficult task for a new pilot is to maintain altitude. Maintaining altitude is difficult. See, you're up there. Advisors Excel's up there. You guys are known. You're known. CJ Online reports something on you every day, just about, right? You're known. You have altitude. You've achieved it. Congratulations. How do you maintain it? That's the real question. How do you maintain it? It's tough for pilots to do. It's also tough for companies. Because once you've achieved growth, how do you maintain that and maybe even excel beyond that? How do you do it? Well, it's an amazing thing. This is a recent study. I love it. KRW International published a study last year. I encourage you to read it for yourself. I cite it. As a matter of fact, it's also been in Harvard Business Review. Fred Keel is the founder of KRW. But what they did is they went out and they talked to 84 companies. Some were Fortune 500 companies here in the U.S. They went out and they talked to them. They surveyed all their employees. So that's you. That's you. So they surveyed the employees. They talked to the founders. And they asked them, they said, you know what, let's rate our CEOs. If you were to rate your CEO, your chief officer, if you were to rate them, your executives, if you were to really rate them on integrity, responsibility, forgiveness, and compassion, how would they do? Here's the amazing thing. Here's your bread and butter for today. The CEOs, the chief executive officers who rated high on those 4 categories delivered better financial results. Better financial results every single time. Simply because they had integrity. They took responsibility, they forgave when they needed to, and they also had compassion. I would like to think that it also applies to employees, because it does. It does. So there is something called the ROC, the ROC, not by Jay-Z. I'm not dealing with that. I'm dealing with return on character. Return on character. Oh, yes. You're familiar with return on investment or asset. Not talking about that. There's something called a return on character. Those numbers should, do something for you. Can you do like this? There you go. She squirmed in her chair. That's how you should feel when you see those numbers. Because here's an amazing thing. CEOs who employees gave them high marks for character, average return on asset, 9.35%. That's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. Those who had a low rating, 1.93%. Which company do you want to work for? Oh, I think you want to work for the one that has integrity, that forgives, that has compassion. Oh, those sorts of things, right? Here's the other amazing thing. CEOs gave themselves much higher marks than their employees, but not the ones who were actually rated higher. Those who achieved all of that success gave themselves slightly lower scores, which was a sign of their humility. Humility. We all need it. Humility. Take it down a notch. Humility. There's a return on character. You actually can deliver better financial results simply through having character. We like to think. I work closely with businesses in the School of Business and those sorts of things. We like to think that cutting corners and taking the, no. Do it the right way, through integrity. Increase that. Increase that. So why is there such an increase in drag? People ask me that also. Why do we have this increase in drag then? I mean, why is this taking place? Every single week, students bring me articles just dealing with bad choices, bad ethical choices that have been made. Well, relativism is one of those things. The belief that there's no such thing as right and wrong. Relativism. No such thing as right and wrong. There is. Individualism. Well, it's just my behavior. I don't care about the group. Group behavior matters. All of you matter. You matter. Your actions matter as a group. Reductionism. Minimize. We like to minimize things. Reduce it. We like to reduce it. That's why there's such a drag. That's why ethics and ethical dilemmas happen all the time. How do you reduce it? Well, it increases with speed. So the faster you guys go in life and here at Advisors Excel, the more you're going to face drag. The more you're going to face it. Drag is only reduced, though, by streamlining. You see, you can reduce drag in 2 ways. You streamline. That is, you let people go. I hope that doesn't happen because they refuse to change or they continue to make poor ethical decisions or whatever you want to throw in there. Or you can start actually reflecting on moral standards and decision-making processes that will help you eliminate drag every single time as a business and as a company and even in your life. Be streamlined, reduce drag. Let me give you 5 moon rocks so you feel like you learned something today. 5 moon rocks. Moon rock number 1, doors are only as strong as their hinges. Where in the heck did he get this from? Well, I am from another country, Kentucky. We don't do a whole lot there, but, we play basketball, and we teach Kansas how to do that every year. Hold your applause. Hold your applause till the end. Hold your applause to the end, please. Calipari one and done, baby. Yeah. Okay. So, doors are only as strong as their hinges. That woke you up. Good. Oh, Jayhawker's in here. Good. Doors are only as strong as their hinges. What is he talking about? How does that apply to ethics? Very simple. What are your hinges in life? Your hinges are your ethics, your character, your foundation. All of you look pretty strong, pretty serious, cute, handsome, whatever. That's the door. I don't know what's behind the door because I don't know you. But all of you have something behind that door. But I can tell you right now, no matter how strong you look, no matter how strong you think you are, you're only as strong as your ethics and your character. Because every single time, Lance Armstrong, you will fall if character is lacking. You will fall. Doors are only as strong as their hinges. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You'll remember that. I hope so. That's why it's called a moon rock. Number 2. Now, I know the photograph is not that great, but your ethical decisions always impact others. That's an actual photograph, though, from the actual site. Johnstown. Go to Pennsylvania. You can go there today. You can visit it. Why does he care about that? Well, May 31st, 1889, due to ethical decisions, poor ethical decisions, over 2,200 people lost their lives. You see, that used to be a town. And there used to be a dam there called the South Fork Dam holding back the Conemaugh River. But over time, it was chipped away at, particularly by 50 men who were extremely wealthy in their families. Names like Carnegie, Rockefeller, Frisk. All those folks went to this club called the South Fork Hunting and Fishing Club. And people started warning them, hey, this dam needs some improvement. You guys are they would be billionaires in today's money, multi-billionaires. Why don't you improve this dam? We don't care. They started lowering the dam so their carriages could pass. They started chipping away at it by several feet. They didn't listen to the warnings. All of a sudden, on May 31st, there was a big storm. The dam burst. And guess what? Dams don't burst gradually. When they burst, they come pretty quickly. 50 people and their families said, we don't really care. So over 2,200 people lost their lives. That's the lesson. Ethical decisions, they always impact other people. Was anyone charged? Nope. Usually that's the case. Your decisions impact other people. It is never just about you. I don't care how selfie you are. It's never just about you. It impacts other people. So you'll remember that, right? Let me give you another. A compromise can lead to chaos. Oh, yes, it can. March 25th, 1911. 146 people lost their lives. How? Most of them were women. In fact, all of them just about were women. About half of that jumped from 8 stories, called the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. You see, they were ramping up production. Things were going well. Women were cranking out the shirtwaist, immigrant women. But they had a problem. See, they made a compromise. They didn't care about safety at all. They locked the women in. And eventually there was a fire. And the fire escape was not good enough. It was not good enough. So when that fire broke out, we had one of the worst disasters in history that we saw. The reason why you have fire escapes today and alarms and exits and those sorts of things, right there. But what they didn't understand was that compromise was going to lead to chaos. And it did. Huge, huge chaos. You compromise your values, maybe just one time, can lead to chaos for an entire company. It's happened. It continues to happen. Keep that in mind. Oh, here we go. Strictly business is risky business. I'm not talking about the Tom Cruise movie. No. Strictly business is risky business. What do I mean by that? Well, January 28th, 1986, engineers had been pleading with the top CEOs at NASA. They had been pleading with them. Do not launch Challenger. Oh, you with me now? Do not launch Challenger. Don't do it. What'd the management say? Well, we're going to lose money, so we got to do this. I mean, we can't delay that launch. President Reagan's going to give a State of Union address tonight. He's going to talk about education. There's a teacher on there. We have to do it. We don't care about the ethics of it. I mean, it's about business. Let's just do the business so we can keep things in line and not lose any of our revenue. It launched, but not for long, about 71 seconds. 7 people lose their lives. Why? Simply because of that. They said strictly business only. The engineer was just on, one of them, as a matter of fact, NPR, because we just hit the 30-year anniversary. He's still struggling with that today because he pleaded and said, this is wrong, don't do it. He did it anyway because the focus was on revenue. The focus was not on the people that they were impacting and the potential catastrophe that could happen. And it did. Approved! Taking an ethical shortcut can cut your business short. This is very simple. Ninjas. No income, no job. Approved for a loan. Subprime mortgage crisis, 2008. I don't need to go into that. Read Michael Lewis, The Big Short.
Housing market is propped up on these bad loans.
Everyone's approved. Everyone gets a home loan. We don't care about ethics. You need 3 home loans. You don't have any income? No problem. No credit? No problem. You get that. Cut businesses short, though. Housing market collapse, nearly collapsed the country. All because of that. Ethics matter. It always matters. So what's your most important marketing tool? I need you to do this real quick so I can get you out of here on time. You have a note card in front of you. Quickly. Write your name in big letters in the middle of that note card. Write your name in big letters in the middle of that note card. Okay, so I went to the archives, as I usually do, and I found this. I thought it was excellent, because I don't have time to ask you what your most important marketing tool is. You know, y'all have theories on marketing, I'm sure. John D. Rockefeller was a genius. A jerk, but a genius. He certainly was. He named his company Standard Oil for a good reason. He was all about that name. He said, this will set the standard for the industry. Oh boy, it did. That's a newspaper clipping from 1922, although he started his company in 1870. Yeah, Standard. Here's what I want you to do for the next 21 days. I want you to place that on your bathroom mirror. And here's why. Your name says much more than just your name. When people hear your name, Ethan, for example, what do they actually hear? Do they hear, oh, honest guy, integrity, upbeat? Or do they hear, sleazebag, don't hire him? No, I don't want him. No. Right? Your name is always speaking. Your name sets the standard for this company. What do you want your name to say? The next 21 days, which is the time it takes to create a habit, I want you to look at that on your bathroom mirror every morning. Decide what your name stands for. When people hear your name, what does it mean? What does it mean? Because it doesn't mean Ethan. It doesn't mean, if I knew him, then I would have an idea of what that actually meant. What does Advisors Excel mean? Most people have no clue what you do. But when they hear the name, what does that actually mean? Does it set a standard for the industry? When you hear it, does it set a standard for the industry? Do people think, man, fair, honest, integrity's there, double the profit. They're taking things, to a whole new level. What do they think? You decide that. You represent this company. Your name is never just your name. Look at it every day and decide what it means now. If you've never decided before, decide what it means now. When you hear my name after this, you won't just think David. You might think a little something differently, like wacko. I don't know what you'll think, but your name sets the standard. Let's finish out. You need a flight checklist. You come across an ethical dilemma, you're going to need a checklist. It's very simple, and I identify all those in the book for you. Dragnet, Sergeant Joe Friday with the Los Angeles Police Department, just the facts. Is that too old for you? Probably. Watch Nick at Night. You'll catch Dragnet. Get the facts when you have an ethical dilemma. Get the facts. What are the facts? Let's figure this out. Really, let's look at the facts. Take the Kidder approach. Is this a moral temptation, right and wrong? Or is this an actual ethical dilemma? So I got to place it in a paradigm now, and I got to break this thing down. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. The more you'll start thinking about it. The golden rule: do unto others as you would have them. How in the world do you know that? The best part of waking up? How'd you know that? Right? You know this stuff. You do. Put the shoes on, though. That person you're giving a service to, you're providing a service to, how would you want to be treated if you're on the other end? That coworker that you're talking to, how would you want to be treated if you're on the other end? Those people you're responsible for leading, how would you want to be treated if you were on that end? Oh, that'll help you with ethics every single time. Utilitarian approach. Am I looking at the consequences? Am I looking to produce the greatest good for the greatest number of people? Think about that. Are your actions producing the greatest good for the greatest number of people? Am I respecting the rights of those involved when I'm making this decision? Am I being fair? Treating it with integrity. Does this build my character? It's your flight checklist. You should be running through that every time when you're making these decisions. Trust me, every single time. The big idea, how you get there, is just as important as getting there. Don't forget that. The focus is drag. It leads to a crash landing every time. Small things matter. Doors are only as strong as their hinges. Your decisions always impact others. A compromise can lead to chaos. Strictly business is risky business. Taking an ethical shortcut can cut your business short. And your name, my friends, your name sets the standard. Last thing I have to say to you, long after you've launched, and you've all launched, ethics will keep you in flight. You might not care about it. You might think it's just some other training you have to go to, but trust me, I see where you're going. I do see where you're going. I want you to stay in flight. And it's those decisions you guys make, not just your founders, but you guys make every day that will impact this company. I wish you great success. Continue to go forward. Thank you.